Chronicles of the Grim Reaper, The Light of Day, by Griz Calderon. Andrew stood at the side of the stage, guitar in hand, waiting for his cue. The crowd began to cheer, clapping and calling out his name. He stepped onto the stage in his sneakers, wearing his signature plain t-shirt, jean shorts, and a flowery guitar strap that had become a part of his persona. His long hair was tied back, and his presence exuded a laid-back 60s vibe that everyone adored. Though he played many instruments, the guitar was his favorite. His music had a way of reaching people, connecting with their emotions, and he was known not just for his songs, but for the kindness he showed to those around him. He mentored young musicians, wrote songs that spoke of life, love, and the mysteries of existence, and always made time for his fans. That night's performance was something special, though Andrew had no way of knowing just how much it would come to mean. His friends and fans filled the audience, and at the side of the stage, his dog, little Stony, sat faithfully, never missing a show. The routine at the end was always the same. He would grab little Stony, sit on the edge of the stage as the crowd began to disperse, and then spend time with those who had come to see him, taking pictures, sharing stories, and building connections that would last a lifetime. After the show, Andrew packed up his equipment, and with little Stony by his side, they hit the road. As usual, he called his mom on the drive home, recounting the night's events, sharing stories, and enjoying the comfort of her voice. He was always careful as he drove home. He had an important passenger to keep safe. In the days that followed, Andrew began to feel unwell. A visit to the hospital quickly escalated into a situation far more serious than he could have imagined. He found himself lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by doctors and nurses, in the sterile environment of a place he had never expected to be. The days dragged on, each one a battle, and Andrew drifted between dreams and memories. His shows, his family, his loyal dog, his friends, and his fans. He couldn't tell if he was dreaming or remembering, but he clung to those moments as if they were all he had left. One evening, as the quiet hum of the hospital surrounded him, a voice called his name. It was unfamiliar, soft, almost a whisper. "Andrew, it's showtime. There are people waiting for you. They have things to say, things you need to hear." He opened his eyes and found himself no longer in the hospital bed, but standing, fully dressed in a suit, a rare sight, reserved only for special occasions. The Grim Reaper stood before him, a calm presence that wasn't threatening, just there. "Are you ready?" the Reaper asked, turning away as Andrew nodded, a quiet yes escaping his lips. They passed through the hospital room door as if it wasn't there, and suddenly Andrew was surrounded by his friends, his family, and his beloved little Stony, sitting on his mom's lap. There were pictures of him, music playing, and people sharing memories. He listened as they spoke about him, celebrating his life, his music, and the impact he had on them. It was a tribute to all he had been, and as he stood there, watching, it filled him with a deep sadness. The Reaper, sensing Andrew's pain, spoke softly. "You were taken too soon, Andrew. You weren't ready, and neither were they. But I want you to see that even though you've left this world, you still remain. Your music, your kindness, they've left a mark that time cannot erase. I want you to witness it, to experience the light of day through their lives." With that, the Reaper disappeared, leaving Andrew in a place where time seemed to stretch and bend. He watched over his loved ones as they remembered him, honored him, dreamt of him, and spoke to him in moments of quiet reflection. He was there with them, letting them know in subtle ways that he was still listening, still there by their side. Years passed, but for Andrew, time was different. Andrew watched his friends and family grow old, but they never forgot him. He knew that when the time came, the Reaper would visit each one. He worried about what would happen and braced himself, for he had grown accustomed to watching over them, to being a part of their lives from this place between worlds. One day, as Andrew watched little Stony climb into his bed for what would be the last time, the Reaper appeared again. Andrew saw the tiny soul leave his dog's body, and in an instant, the bright light of the afterlife began to shine. A small, furry figure came running toward him, and Andrew crouched down, opening his arms wide. With one joyful leap, little Stony was in his arms, licking his face with pure happiness. "Welcome home, boy," Andrew shouted with excitement, holding his little friend close. From that moment, Andrew and little Stony continued to watch over their loved ones. As each one was visited by the Reaper, Andrew knew that they would soon be reunited. And one by one, they were. The Reaper brought each soul to Andrew until the very last one had crossed over from the world Andrew had left behind so many years ago. When the time came, the Reaper guided them all together into a beautiful ray of light. Andrew, with his mother by his side and little Stony in her arms, his family and friends, walked into the light, feeling a sense of peace and completeness he had never known before. Andrew's music continued to play on, echoing through the years, a lasting reminder of the love and joy he left in the world. Though he was gone, he was never forgotten. The end.